Our gospel reading this week is known as the wicked servant. It is another story that, like last week's parable, ends with someone left on the outside. Another parable with a seemingly anticlimactic ending. Another parable that, again, like last week's, the point is not the last verse, but the actions that get us there. What would you say if I told you that God has given you everything you need to be happy? Everything you need, you already have. And the biggest obstacle that we have as people to our own happiness is what we do with the things that God has already given us. In the words of the offertory prayer often heard during worship, the communion assistant reads, "Blessed are you, O God, maker of all things. Through your goodness you have blessed us with these gifts, ourselves, our times, and our possessions." We are given gifts the Master has trusted us with, and now we have a few years on this earth to see what comes of them. In our parable today, the Master returns and wants to know what has been done with the gifts that were given. Across our nation right now, I'm sure there are sermons being preached about the monetary value of what a talent is that the Master has given in this parable, and this text is being turned into a financial stewardship sermon. But that is not this sermon. Instead, I'd like to look at the cause and effect. Two of the servants, trusted with a sum of money, have something to show for it. One started with 5 talents, and the other with 2, and they ended up with 10 and 4, respectively. But the question I find is, what do we not know? The one who had 5 and returned 10 might, over the years, have gained 20, 30, or 50, and is merely now only left with 10. The one given 2 might have lost it all, and then worked twice as hard somewhere else to make up the investment lost. Neither of these are the point. The point is that the Master trusted them, and they did something with that trust and those gifts. They acted on that trust. They responded to the gifts they received, and in their cases, whatever they might be, they came out better on the other side. Then there is the third servant. He also received talents, but his behavior is very different. Instead of investing, instead of doing, instead of trying, he buries his talent, this gift he received, because he is afraid of what the outcome might be. Did you hear that? This person buried his gift because he was afraid of the outcome. He was afraid of what might happen, and so nothing happened. So when the Master returns, he's upset because all that potential sat in a jar beneath a tree in a backyard for a couple of years. Let's be honest. We all end up under a tree in somebody's backyard eventually, if you know what I mean. We all get planted one way or another. The question at hand is, what do we do with the gifts in life that we have been given during our time here, today, now? Do we take a chance? Do we take a chance on God, take a chance on ourselves, take a chance in hope and trust and love Do we take a chance in our Christian faith that things will work out or will turn out the way that God wants them to, even if that is different from the way we want them to? The Jesus of Easter morning points to the holes in his hands to remind us that the Easter journey does not start at the empty tomb, but in the denial, persecution, rejection, and death on the cross. Then we get to the tomb. 19th century Scottish preacher the Reverend William Arnott cues us into the idea that the wood of the manger in the Nativity story is there to prepare us for the fate of the babe of Bethlehem, who will be murdered on the cross. Of the original 12 apostles, John was the only one who did not die a violent death. So biblically, there are no guarantees that life or our faith will be without danger, complexity, pain, or fear. We look across modern America and we see racial tensions higher than they've been since the 60s. Online bullying is impacting the youth of our country in ways I believe we haven't even started to truly understand. And every time you turn on the TV, it tells us that traveling is more dangerous than ever, trusting is more dangerous than ever, and living is more dangerous than ever. There's always a million reasons not to do something. And this is exactly where faith comes into play. Faith does not mean that life will not be scary, but it gives us a foundation to stand on in the face of that fear. Jesus doesn't tell us that life isn't scary or doesn't hurt, but Jesus is there, walking beside us, carrying us when it hurts too much. Faith is calling us to take a chance on God, ourselves, and each other, with ourselves, our time, and our possessions, as we cultivate the garden of life that we live in. If Jesus were to retell this parable, I think there are ways that he could rephrase the Master's words to make it a little easier on our 21st century ears. Something to the effect of, "What are you doing? You know I reap more than I sow. I give you yourself, your time, and your possessions, and I want you to have more. I want you to reap my gifts so that you can sow joy, happiness, and fulfillment. I want you to take a chance on the gift of life." The return on investment that God wants from us is measured in the joy and fulfillment that we have in our lives. It's a return on investment that we won't get if we bury the gifts we have been given, isolating them by themselves and not interacting or being in the world. That is the difference between a graveyard and a garden. A graveyard has a lot of people buried with no interaction. It might look perfect, but nothing there touches each other, as the space echoes, sterile. A garden, however, is filled with life. The flowers blooming, the dill that spreads and starts growing where you don't want it to, the rodents that sneak in, the rows of vegetables that are never perfectly straight. All this growing together and creating a living ecosystem, producing fruits and vegetables of all kinds. That's our question this morning. Where are you putting your gifts? Are you burying them alone in fear so that nothing can bother them, in a dead notion of safety? Or are you planting them in a community garden to see what happens right there where you live? Martin Luther wrote that as Christians, we do good deeds not because we have to in order to earn our salvation, but because we want to, in response to what God has done for us in Jesus, who is the Christ. We act this notion out every time we gather for worship. In the first action of communion, we rise together as the gifts are brought forward into our community. At the end of communion is the sending. We go in peace to serve the Lord and our community. Not because we have to, but because we are thankful for the body, blood, and blessing that has been bestowed on each and every one of us. We see what God does here. We are part of what God does here. And then we go to tell others in our community and to share the good news that we hear. God gives us gifts. What we do with them is up to us. So let us go in peace to serve the Lord. Amen.